I sleep with my boss every single night. That is the one secret that could destroy everything I've built in this city of glass and steel. My name is Jessica, and to the world, I am just a 25-year-old assistant in a sea of identical suits. My boss is Mr. Wilson, a man whose reputation is as sharp and cold as the diamonds on his cufflinks. He is the owner of the empire, a titan who speaks in a low thunder that makes the strongest men in the room tremble. When he walks down the hall, the air seems to freeze, and the sound of typing reaches a frantic, desperate pace. Nobody looks him in the eye. They look down at their desks, terrified that a single mistake will end their careers. But I know a different man, a man hidden behind the expensive wool and the calculated silence. Every evening at 5, the workday officially ends, and the office transforms into a theater of normalcy. My coworkers pack their bags with lighthearted energy, chatting about their theater tickets or their dinner dates. "Where are you going, Jessica?" they ask, their eyes scanning my modest clothes and tired face. I always give them the same practiced, empty smile and tell them I am just heading home to sleep. They imagine me in a small, lonely studio apartment, eating a simple meal and disappearing into the night. They think they know my life, but they couldn't be further from the truth. I wait in the lobby until the last of the staff has trickled out into the neon glow of the city. Then, a black car pulls up to the curb, and I slide into the passenger seat beside the most feared man in the city. He looks at me, and the cold mask of the CEO melts away into a look of genuine, quiet concern. "How are you feeling today, Jessica?" he asks, his voice no longer a command, but a soft inquiry. We drive away from the skyscrapers toward a massive, silent estate in the quietest part of town. I spend my nights in his house, and I know exactly what the world would say if they saw us. They would think I am his mistress, a girl trading her dignity for a comfortable life in a mansion. But this is not a story of romance. It is a story of survival, of a secret so heavy it nearly broke my spine. To understand why I sleep under his roof, you have to understand the girl I was before the city swallowed me. I grew up in a small village where the only thing we had in abundance was the dust and the love of my family. My father is a farmer, a man whose hands are mapped with the scars of honest, grueling labor. We were happy, but we lived on the edge of a knife, never more than one bad harvest away from hunger. I had a dream to be the one who changed our fate, the girl who would conquer the city and send home a fortune. I arrived here with one suitcase and a heart full of fire, landing a job at the bottom of Mr. Wilson's company. I lived in a room that was more of a closet than an apartment, with walls so thin I could hear the city's heart beating. I sent every spare dollar home, writing letters filled with beautiful lies about my glamorous life. I told my mother I was eating in 5-star restaurants while I was actually boiling plain rice over a hot plate. Then, the phone call came that turned the lights out on my world. My father's heart was failing, and the cost of the surgery was a number I couldn't even comprehend. I didn't think twice. I took every cent I had saved for rent, for food, for my future, and I sent it all. My father lived, but the price of his life was my own disappearing act. The landlord came for his money, and when I couldn't pay, he didn't care that I had saved a life. He threw my suitcase onto the pavement and changed the locks while I watched from the sidewalk. I was homeless, and I was too ashamed to tell a soul. I had an old, rattling car that became my only sanctuary in a world that had suddenly turned ice cold. For 2 months, I lived a double life that would have killed a weaker woman. I would wake up at 4,000 am, my breath fogging the windows, my body stiff from the cramped backseat. I would drive to a 24-hour gas station, using the freezing water in the sink to wash away the grime of the night. I brushed my teeth in a cracked mirror, applied my makeup with trembling fingers, and put on my one good suit. I walked into the office every morning smelling like cheap perfume and desperation, yet smiling at everyone. I was starving. My stomach a constant gnawing pain that made the fluorescent light seem to spin. I watched my coworkers throw away half-eaten sandwiches while I drank water just to feel full. The cold of the winter began to seep into my bones, and I could feel myself fading away. The end came during a Tuesday afternoon meeting, when the room suddenly tilted and the world went black. I woke up on the leather sofa in Mr. Wilson's private office, the smell of expensive cedar filling my nose. He was standing over me, and for the first time, he wasn't looking at me as an employee. "Jessica," he whispered, "your hands are like ice, and you've lost so much weight. Tell me the truth." I tried to lie. I tried to be the girl who had it all together, but the wall finally collapsed. I told him about the car, the gas station sinks, the surgery, and the cold that never went away. I expected him to fire me for being a liability, for being a mess he didn't want to clean up. Instead, he looked at me with a sadness that seemed to mirror my own. "I am a man with 5 empty bedrooms and a daughter I haven't seen in years," he said softly. "I will not let a girl like you perish in a parking lot while I sleep in a palace." That night was the first time in 60 days that I felt the warmth of a radiator and the softness of a real pillow. He gave me a key to his guest wing and told me I was not a guest, but a person who deserved a home. We established a routine that kept the world at bay and kept our secrets safe. By day we were the stern CO and the hardworking assistant who barely spoke. By night we were 2 lonely souls sharing a dinner table and talking about the things that really matter. He taught me about the stock market, about leadership, and about the courage it takes to be kind. I cooked him the meals from my village, and for a few hours every night, the house felt like it had a heartbeat again. But the office is a place of whispers, and the shadows have very long ears. My coworkers noticed the way I arrived in his car, and they noticed the new light in my eyes. Sarah, a woman who had spent years trying to climb the ladder, began to spread a poison that moved faster than the truth. She whispered that I was sleeping my way to the top, that I was a charity case with a hidden agenda. The looks in the break room turned from indifference to sharp, cutting blades of judgment. I wanted to scream the truth, but how do you tell people you were so poor you slept in a car? The climax came when Mr. Wilson stood before the entire company to announce the new project manager. When he said my name, the silence was heavy enough to choke the breath from the room. Sarah stood up, her voice trembling with a self-righteous fury that demanded an audience. "Is this how we promote now?" she demanded. "We know she lives with you, Mr. Wilson. We aren't stupid." I felt my face burn, the shame of my past and the lies of the present colliding in a single moment. Mr. Wilson didn't flinch. He walked to the very edge of the stage and looked at every person in that room. "Jessica lives in my home because she gave her life to save her father's," he stated, his voice like iron. He told them everything: the car, the gas station, the hunger, and the quiet dignity I had maintained. "I didn't give her this job because she lives with me," he roared. "I gave it to her because she is the only person here who knows what it means to truly work." The room went silent, but it was a different kind of silence this time. It was the sound of 100 people realizing they had judged a hero. Sarah sat down, her face pale, and for the first time in months, I didn't feel like I had to hide. I still sleep in that house, but I am no longer the girl who was drowning in the city's ocean. I am a woman who is building her own future, saving her money to buy a house where my parents can finally rest. Mr. Wilson is still my boss, but he is also the father figure I thought I had lost when I left the village. Life is a series of cold nights and unexpected doors, and sometimes the person you fear the most is the one holding the key. I sleep with my boss every night in the safety of a home he shared when I had nothing, and I am finally, truly awake.